This channel is supported by Truefire. Truefire is an online library of lessons from some of my favourite players. There's thousands of lessons on there. You can use the promo code JNC40 to get 40% off of any of their courses. Okay, welcome to the latest installment of Tonemaster Pro stuff. So I've had a lot of questions asking if I could compare the amp models in here to something. So I thought, well, logically, I'm a big fan of the Helix. I've done like 2 or 3 pieces of paid work for Yamaha over the years, and they do occasionally send me pieces of gear, so that's that up front. I did actually get an email from Fender, so I've asked them to back up the cash truck, and I'll start giving it some more favourable praise after that. No, but on a serious note, I'm just treating this with kind of like skepticism, as I would with any new unit that says it's the best in class or whatever. So I decided that first of all, in that introduction there, I've put up some device A, device B. Let me know which you thought was which, and if you want to give a reason why. I'm going to reveal that at the end of the video, so you can check that. Right, first of all, the way that I've conducted this as a test is I've used the same IR in both units to avoid us comparing things that aren't amp modeling, and then set up basically the same settings on each amp. Now, there are going to potentially, depending on how anal they are about this, going to be differences, because line 6, for example, model based on a real amp that they have in their space. So for instance, you know, like a VOX AC30 Fawn Bright is a real VOX AC30 that they've modeled from the 60s. So these amps and Marshalls and stuff from this time are going to vary. Of course, the tubes in them are going to vary, so we might get some variation. Also, the potentiometers themselves, all of those have variable tolerances. So it's not necessarily the case that, you know, either of these is going to sound more correct than the other. It's just what sounds closer to what you'd want, I guess, is the question to ask yourself as you're listening to the clips. And yeah, I'm not going to give too many opinions, because I think that kind of I don't really need to, because it can kind of do its own talking, the tone for itself. And let me know your thoughts if you've got them in the comments. So we'll start with a VOX AC30 normal channel on both units. also wanted to try with the Rectifier. Now, it seems like the Helix version has quite a lot more gain, so I'm going to drop the gain. So I don't know if you had any particular feeling about the quality or comparative tones of each device. I'm not making this part of it a blind test because I feel like it kind of in some ways can waste your time a bit, and then you'll be waiting for me to reply and all that sort of stuff. So that's the reason I didn't want to make this part blind. Also worth bearing in mind that you could dial these in to sound closer together. That's not what the goal of this was. The goal was to just set things, you know, up as you might set them up and just compare where your starting point is, see if one gets closer to what you'd be wanting than the other. Does one sound more like a VOX? Does one sound more like a BE100? That sort of question. Does one sound more like a dual rectifier? Now, as for the introduction, here's the thing. I was using the Fender Tone Master Pro for device A and the Fender Tone Master Pro for device B. So if you thought there was a difference and commented as so, don't feel silly. I just think that sometimes if we see a label next to something, we will potentially hear things with our ears that maybe are not there due to biases and stuff. But in all honesty, I felt like the VOX and Deluxe Reverb kind of stood up quite well. I felt like the Plexis sounded quite different in terms of amps anyway, so not really too much to make a comparison with there. The BE100 I felt like actually sounded quite thin on this, you know, not much mids at all, whereas it sounded kind of thick and full on the Helix. And the Mesa Rectifier I thought sounded pretty whatever on both. For some reason this one doesn't have much gain on the Rectifier. This one has loads, and I think generally a rectifier, even at 3.5, would still be kicking out quite a lot of gain. So I don't know, potentially their rectifiers that they're modeling on are quite different anyway. But I didn't feel like, so in Rhett's video he talked about there being this digital fizz in the Tone Master Pro that isn't present in some other devices. I think actually this digital fizz thing is a common thing across most modelers. And I don't think it's even necessarily a thing that you don't get with amps. It's not digital fizz, it's just fizz. It's just what happens if you stick a mic close to a cab with a lot of gain on it, basically. It's been my experience. So, yeah, I felt like I should do that video, and I felt like the Tone Master Pro probably comes up okay in that comparison, right? Compared with the Helix. And, yeah, I don't know. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Hope that was useful. I think it's probably the first kind of comparison of amp models with other amp modelers. If you want me to try something in this vein with fractal stuff, maybe I'll do it, but I feel like there's a limited use to it, and once you've heard it once or twice, you know, there are people like Sonic Drive Studios who can really make things sound incredibly close, and again, that's a different type of video. This is more just to try and see the starting point. If you pull something up with the same IR, what is that going to actually sound like? I don't know. Let me know your thoughts. Cheers.